frustration amongst the teams that are losing kind of in appropriate places in the bracket, because they're going to have a much more difficult road to the elimination bracket. Point still stands, Kyle. And this is one of those series where we're going to learn a lot about Native Red, I feel like, and their development as players throughout this early part of 2023. This is going to be one of those series, as well as paired with HCS Charlotte, because this team came out hot as ever, got third at Worlds, and it's really a question of, will they continue to hold themselves to that level and that caliber of Halo that they were able to achieve that weekend? Or was that more of a one-time thing where they were able to create some upsets and everything was going right? I would love for this team to join that upper echelon of like that tier of teams that we see competing for championships. I'm not quite sure which way they're going to go. I have a lot of confidence in the individuals on this team, and I love the fact that they've been together so long, but some consistency in placings is what they desperately need.
Oh, absolutely here. So as we get into the game, we are into game number 1, Streets Strongholds here. And that is, like we said, going to be Native Red versus FaZe. Like pointed out, it was a third place finishers versus this new Sentinel squad that has a lot of hype and anticipation on their shoulders to perform well, both in this tourney and especially at the first event. We know the level, the caliber of players that are on the squad and their expectations of performance at events. And if these teams, these Optics, SSGs, even FaZes here aren't finishing first place, then it's a letdown.
Oh, absolutely. I think anything outside of first will always be something frustrating to players that have had so much success. Kyle, you were a player that, I mean, you won so often and went into tournaments as favorites for a majority of your career, it probably felt. And at some point, when you're not placing first place, it's got to be frustrating. I mean, I only won one time, and every tournament after that was a disappointment, right? Like, because you just not expect to win every tournament, but you hold yourself to that extra standard, and like, you are only going to be satisfied as a competitor with like the best result ever, right?
Oh, exactly. Yeah, once you win your first event, everything else is a letdown after that. It's first or nothing, or if you're not first, you're last. The Ricky Bobby, saying as you could put it. Once you've reached that echelon, nothing else quite matches up to that. Especially as you come off of Halo World Championships or something and head into the off season. That's definitely some of the most, I guess, disappointing times. Having those long breaks to kind of reminisce on what went wrong or what you may have been able to do better in a series.
I'm gonna be honest, the red on red, let's not decide to do this one again. This one, it's pretty ugly. Difficult to keep track of who is who right now.
Red team is winning right now, Wes.
The red team is definitely gonna win not only this game, but this season. Which one it's gonna be, it's gonna be difficult to try and judge, but it does look like, I believe Native Red have the significant lead here to build it, but in all honesty, it's difficult to tell.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now. Maybe I never knew I had any colorblind issues, but I'm starting to feel it right now. Let's see, triple kill, and Manny just got the hill.
And they're scoring, so they have the 137 points.
I'm going to go with Native Reds winning this right now. Native
Red is currently in the lead. Will Native Red come away with the victory? We'll have to find out. It's 150 points, an absolute slaughter right now so far for Native Red. 10 kills on the side of Manny. He's off to a phenomenal start. On the other side, you got Renegade with 10. So the new guy, he's doing his part, but the rest of the team, they need to back it up as well.
Yeah, as you can see, one of the reasons that it's really hard to tell who's winning is that the slays are even.
Yes.
It's virtually even across the board. So how one team in an even slay count is up by 150 something points is wild. It kind of goes to show you, if you're able to get an early lead, capture some of these hills, all you have to do is trade out kills, because when everyone on the map is respawning, you're still racking up points.
Yep, and continuing to score, I believe, will be Native Red here.
This reminds me of like Team Better versus Betterer.
Yes, this is the exact same dilemma that we have as commentators to try and decipher what the hell is actually going on here. An overkill for Royal 2, though. All the kill feeds red. and B attempting to be transferred over. You think if you get an overkill, you're going to be able to get a stronghold, right? They do get the point, but just as I say that, they lose SnakeBite, they lose Royal 2, they're going to lose B. And although they've overextended towards A, it looks like Native Red are in a solid position to try and apply some pressure.
Yeah, you can see Native Red just having their way this game, building up such a healthy lead. A nice little flank by Druk, gets the kill onto SnakeBite, and you can see Red Team starting to capture the C Stronghold from the other Red Team. And now you see Native Red getting points back on the board. Rockets go over to Frosty, though. He grabs himself a kill. 3v3 scenario. It's like Native Red's trying their hardest just to keep everyone out of Hill here over towards B, and sure enough are looking at flipping this one back.
I wonder if they're having a difficult time like we are. They have their they have to have it set to a set default to where they're not nearly struggling, because that would be chaotic to understand what strongholds are ours and theirs and whatnot. But Native Red in the driver's seat once again. They're able to transfer over B, and this game from Native Red's point of view seems fairly easy, right? They're able to get clear kills and transfer strongholds without too much pressure. You'd like to see a little bit more aggression on the side of FaZe to stay in this one. I'm not sure how much time they'll have to do that, though.
Yeah, definitely won't have much time here, but it looks like FaZe, they are starting to catch their footing, looking to slow this game a little bit so they can start mounting what comeback they can. C is being flipped as well. That's going to go over into the hands of FaZe. You know, one of the tricky things is whenever you have a first event with a crazy roster mania like this, it's sometimes already difficult to put in your mind like who's on what team now, because you're so conditioned to seeing, if you see this roster, you're like, oh, that's Sentinels, but no, that's not Sentinels, this is FaZe. So that on top of the colors does make it a little bit challenging, but luckily we do know what the situation is currently. We are looking at now the very first triple cap here for FaZe as they're looking to start trying to diminish this lead. SoulSnipe grabs a kill and he's looking to start capping the first stronghold, but Renegade, he's got the stalker. There's also some spike grenades being thrown over into A Hill. Druk with the rockets picks up one, but it looks like the Sentinels, or excuse me, FaZe roster is just going to be able to push them out of A.
And you really need this trip cap if you're FaZe to get back into this game. I mean, taking a look at the kills, Kyle, FaZe are leading in slays and losing by over 100 points still in this game. They need to figure out a way to play more efficient in this strongholds, but that's the name of the game here on Streets, and just phenomenal efficiency from Native Red. And they've got to figure out a way to get out of this spawn trap right now, but in the meantime, they've done such a good job up until this point. They do find themselves down 3 with the last player alive, spotted over towards A. And I mean, as this game continues to go in FaZe's favor, this could be a massive collapse on the side of Native Red.
Yeah, absolutely. No, FaZe has done an amazing job at getting back into this game. The triple caps have been paying off for them extremely well. They were down 150 points and it's been cut down to just 50, so they've already knocked off an extra 100 points off of that lead here. So there's constant back and forth action. Spikes being thrown into B. Royal 2 grabs himself a double kill with some grenades, and with the help coming in, they're going to stop that B cap from flipping here, and most likely FaZe will be able to spawn trap these guys back over at A once again.
Such a good job so far from FaZe in the second half of this game to get back into it. So much work needed to be done. They're doing all of it right now on the back of Royal 2's 20 kills. He had a pretty statistical performance earlier in the series against Optic, showing that he can step it up and is stepping it up right now. Royal 2 picks up the rockets, puts one to use before he gets taken down. SnakeBite, he's trading into kill feed as a couple of members from FaZe go down, and it is C focus and prioritization for Native Red, and Renegade trying to get there to try and deny that, but as he gets shot in the back, he's gonna have to go through the front door. A couple of kills from the superstars here on FaZe will open this door. 4 go down for Native Red, and now look at this. It's gonna be FaZe taking a lead here in a couple of moments.
Yeah, I mean, that is a great kill by Manny and Taulek to pick off Frosty here as they're trying to flip A back in their favor. That lead completely gone. Game's virtually tied up at this point. Royal 2 does have a nice stick to try to prevent any pressure from moving over here towards B, but how long will they be able to hold this off? Now, this is a good position to be in. You can see FaZe, they have the soccer rifle. They've got a few spike grenades in their back pocket, and they're going to be able to use these to prevent anyone from pushing to B. Is Native, are they going to try to overload B and just flood into the hill? Or are they going to try to flip the map and make their way over towards C?
Druk loses 2 teammates, tries to find Royal 2, but can't hit the second shot with the Bulldog. Because of that, stays alive. Good pressure here from Renegade. Finishes off the player with the Stalker. A couple of Brute grenades are going to do a ton of damage to that player trying to push in on him. And as Renegade gets his shield back, he may have an advantage. Grenades end up costing him his life, but everything going right for FaZe here from about that midway point in the game. And all of a sudden, Native Red in what looked like a dominant game 1 end up choking the lead, choking the game, and now FaZe take the lead in the series 1-0.
Yeah, that was a crazy game for a million different reasons, right? Knowing what's going on. And then, of course, the insane comebacks that we just witnessed. It was a 150-point lead going in before they had a first triple cap or anything like that. It was all FaZe for the rest of the game after that initial opening. I mean, you really can't hope for a bigger lead than that in one of these games. Like, it is very rare to be able to have that kind of cushion as you're going into these games. But once you saw FaZe get the stalker rifle, get a nice spread up on the map, Frosty and Renegade, so many kills racked up. Sentinel beam was being used, stalker rifle doing crazy work, and of course all the different spikes and frag grenades that were used to prevent that B capture from going back over to Native. So FaZe has got to be feeling really, really good about that one, to be at that kind of level of a deficit and still, you know, come in. Like, at that point, that's when you start thinking like, okay, on game 2. But the thing about Halo Infinite, all the way these game types function, the ability of a triple cap in strongholds, the time freezing, the clock freezing on both Ball and King of the Hill, it is never over till it's over.
Yeah, you're right. And I mean, especially with the talent of these players, if you just give them a little bit of momentum, if you give them the sandbox, they're going to run with it, especially players like Renegade, players like Frosty, Lucid. I mean, so often do we see, especially in the game mode of strongholds, like once you start the ability to blitz spawn a team, apply pressure, continuously keep one dead, paired with the power that's in the sandbox, a lot of the times the team on respawn looks pretty helpless. And no matter what lead you have, good enough players can push their advantages and play perfect enough to get the job all the way done and create magnificent comebacks. What we just witnessed. How does Native Red respond after giving up such a big lead in game 1? I'm very interested to see how this game 2 kicks off. Recharge Slayer's the name of the game, the battle for camo, as SnakeBite makes his way to double stack, takes down Manny, and he's got his friend Frosty with him to secure that first camouflage. It looks like FaZe has won the opening break.
Yeah, definitely a solid opening break. They do secure themselves camo. I'd say this is going to be a lot different than that first game. I mean, we had 100% chance of red team winning in game 1. That chance of winning has now been cut down to 50%, Wes.
Even less, I would say, given the fact that, the series or the game, because the series 1-0, it's less than 50%. I would say the Native Red are going to win this series now that they're down. So all of a sudden, and what looked like a guaranteed red team win in this series, like you said, now favoring the blue side.
Yeah, you know, I was kind of hoping, like Chad said, for a little blue on blue action this first game, but
yeah, why not switch it up? Give us something we hadn't seen.
Yeah, every death just mix it up. Keep them guessing.
Make our job as difficult as possible. That's why Kyle gets paid the big money.
No, that actually would be hilarious. But 10-5 lead. You can see FaZe definitely still confident after that first game. The fact that they're able to maintain that level of composure, being down by that much, and then maintain the strongholds for the rest of the game will definitely kind of help with that momentum like we discussed here in this Slayer. And 14-5, just great overall teamwork. 3 players trapped in A. You can see the aggression here from Native. They're pushing into the A, just being funneled into kills.
Now look at this, Roll 2, 7-0-1. I want to stress that continuously throughout the series. He did not statistically play at a high level against Optic. I don't know what the gameplay of his own individual point of view, nothing really stuck out to us, but statistically, we didn't see the numbers that Roll 2 traditionally puts up. Roll 2 back at it. so far throughout the series, having a phenomenal game 1, starting off this game 2 nearly perfect, 7-0-1, showing you that he's got something in store for an elimination bracket run.
Yeah, you can see it is 2 down now for Native Red. They do have gold control, and they're looking to maybe probably try to lock up that sniper if any chance they get. But they missed Frosty, who was standing right next to him. He is, in fact, the one that got away with that shock rifle, with that camo. But what a win from Manny. Frosty confidently goes for the no-scope, but isn't able to connect with the headshot, and Manny takes out sniper camo.
Yeah, risk versus reward. Frosty's gonna wish he had used his battle rifle the whole time. That shock rifle just doesn't do the damage he needs to do it. Manny with a phenomenal kill. Those kind of kills can keep your team in the game. However, you need to do a little bit more work. 26-12, up 14 FaZe, continuing to apply pressure, continuing to fill the kill feed with a slaughter full of Native Red. 3 go down, and FaZe take control of game 2 in an aggressive statement here as they cross the halfway mark.
Yeah, 13-29. This is looking like an Empyrean Slayer with how much of a lead they've been able to get off the start of the game.
Yeah, it's also been fast too.
Oh, so fast here. And if you're also wondering who you're watching on screen, keep in mind to check the little white arrow next to the different players' names currently on board with Renegade as he gets taken out there. So game's not over yet, but it is one of those leads that starts to look insurmountable as you get further and further into the game with less and less deaths to be able to work with here. You can see Druk, they're working on collapsing. They do clear out Turbine.
3 unanswered kills go in their favor. They have full map control. What do they choose to do with it? This is an opportunity that you can have, but you cannot afford to trade.
Absolutely. SoulSnipe, he's got shock rifle. He grabs himself yet another kill. SnakeBite does answer back 1, and that lead is down to only 9 now. Definitely workable in this scenario. Camo is picked up by Manny.
Oh my God.
He's doing his best, jumping up and down. They're shooting at his ankles right now. And sure enough, is able to avoid the shots long enough to get his shields back here and commit to a bottom center fight against Renegade, who wins the fight on the camo player, Wes. Down by that many kills, you just can't lose camo like that.
Everything was going in the direction. They got 3 unanswered kills, followed by a 4-for-1 trade. They get the camo. Everything starting to turn in Native Red's favor. And then that one blunder where you don't get the kill, Renegade turns on you, does what Renegade does, hits some perfect shots, of course, but that's going to be a play you wish you had back. And when a mistake like that gets made, it's almost impossible to make up for it. Right now, the pressure from FaZe onto elevator is something that Native deal with fairly well. They're able to relocate over to control, stop roll 2, keep his teammate alive. They've stayed in this game.
I think they're better without camo.
Yeah, I don't think that that's an argument to make. 37-33. It's a 4-kill game, even with the massive blunder. What a phenomenal job Native Red have done here since the mid game of getting back into this game, similar to what we saw FaZe do in game 1.
I don't think there's been a Halo since maybe Combat Evolved that you see such huge leads built, and yet those leads get cut into so hard. There's a lot that goes into the ability to mount a monstrous comeback like that. Teamwork and power weapons are obviously instrumental in any scenario like that. But multiple times today, and since Halo Infinite's inception here, you've seen just these monstrous comebacks.
Look at what Renegade is just able to do. Every time Native Red try to claw into this deficit, try to make it an even closer game, Renegade does something special to keep it at a comfortable lead for FaZe. That double kill we saw him take down Taulek and pipes, that was massive from him. Of course, shock rifle already got the double. Where's everybody else? The game's over. Renegade put a punctuation on this game too and allow FaZe the comfort of being up 2-0 now in the elimination bracket run. And now Native Red 1 game away from the brink of elimination.
So game number 1, Native Red, huge lead, 150 point advantage. FaZe gets control, never loses it. Game number 2, FaZe takes the huge lead this time. Native Red starts to kind of like make the argument, starts to put in the work, even with a few missteps like we saw. You know, had Manny survived with that camo and got the kill, how would that scenario have played out differently? Even though he died, they still cut the lead within 6 or 7 kills, down from like 15 that they were down to start. So FaZe, even though that happens, Renegade making a clutch individual play like that, they're able to regain their footing, close it out with a 12-kill lead. You know, definitely big props to FaZe here for how clean they've looked so far. Game number 3 is going to be that Empyrean CTF. And I haven't watched, I don't know if we saw FaZe play on this earlier, but this is going to be potentially a scary one here for Native Red.
I saw FaZe yesterday on Empyrean, where Royal 2 went for Snipe, and I believe it was a pretty dominant game against DG, if I remember correctly, in pools, where they won in a 5-0 fashion. Extremely successful, and it'll be interesting to see, now that obviously the tier of opponent that they're playing against is much higher, if they're going to be able to replicate that same success. Also, big question, Native Red has a ton of Halo 5 players that came up during the Halo 5 era. Maybe not nearly as much experience on Empyrean or the Pit as a team like Optic, as a team like this FaZe team. So will there be advantages given there because of the understood meta and plays and timings that you typically have?
Yeah, you can see the game's gotten underway here. Opening start favors FaZe as they're able to take 2 down. Look at the sniper rifle play here from Taulek, though. Rather than contesting over towards Snipe Tower, he rotates all the way over to Long Haul and unfortunately switches weapons right as Renegade peeks his face across the wall. So definitely a little bit of a favorable moment for Renegade to prevent that death.
SoulSnipe shooting a rocket, thinking he's going to get taken down, getting shot in the back from Frosty at his base, but still with the rocket in the chambers. Got 1 left as well. Good use of those rockets to defend against the push of FaZe, and now Native Red look to be aggressive.
Yeah, you can see SoulSnipe picks up a kill onto Royal 2. Druk picks up the kill onto Renegade. They know all 4 members were down for a moment, so nobody's going to be behind them. They all come off spawn. Oh no. My god. SoulSnipe not able to connect with that rocket. SnakeBite was 1 shot, actually gets a melee. It's one of those scenarios where SnakeBite's lunge in the melee pulls him far enough away from the rocket to prevent the death. That is a millisecond timing scenario here where the flag, you know, it is being moved right now, but that very may well have stopped the cap.
That flag's on the move, Kyle. It's through camo, and only Frosty has something to say about it. Taulek does have a drop wall and a snipe to try and hit an incredible shot, but the rest of the reinforcements for FaZe are on the way. Taulek desperate, trying to buy time for his team. Seems like he's done it enough to where there will be a fight here. Trades going in the favor of Native Red so far. The kills as well. Last player alive, Royal 2, late to the party. He gets taken care of. And even though that rocket kill didn't come through, Taulek makes a couple of plays with Snipe, gets that flag touch as it was first, and Native Red's teamwork really showcasing the objective efficiency as well. They get the first cap on the board in Empyrean in game 3.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up Taulek there. Taulek was the driving force behind that flag capture. He was the one that moved the flag through Long Haul and stayed alive long enough fighting against Frosty, who had pushed up onto the training, to make sure they secure that cap. Not only did Taulek stay alive, avoiding shots, avoiding the grenades, he flanked around, hit on pit ramp, and actually traded out one of the kills to help that flag go in.
Yeah, unbelievable play, and that's what it's going to take. Objective efficiency, unbelievable plays from the individuals you got. In the meantime, 7-0-3 Frosty with flag in hand. Snipe as well, got a couple of kills, gets the move of the flag, looking to tie this one up. So the lead for Native Red, they don't get to enjoy it too long. FaZe tie this one up 1-1, game 3. And may I remind you, if Native Red lose this game, they will be out of the tournament.
Yeah, that's exactly right. They'll be out of the tournament. FaZe will move on. And I believe, well, actually, I'll double check if they play next there. But yeah, FaZe will be moving on if they take this game. Native Red has found themselves down 0-2 now that they've tied up the game. The only way Native Red takes this is with the reverse sweep. Definitely very possible still.
Oh, it's definitely possible. These guys are talented. They got 3rd at Worlds for a reason. They created so many upsets throughout that run. And right now, trying to build on the momentum they gathered at the end of last year. But it's so difficult, especially against a team like this new FaZe roster. The pickup of Renegade, I mean, he's led this team in slays just about every game we've seen so far this tournament. You know that that's being felt and enjoyed by the players on that team. All 4 down for Native Red and they're going to run this one courtyard as they block the spawns. They're going to be able to pick up the fresh snipe, and there's going to be a lot of players for Renegade to try and deal with. A questionable push, I would say, right there, but no harm, no foul. Flags move, and your teammates were able to acquire overshield as well.
Oh,
that overshield,
no.
I believe, dwindled. I'm not sure how many shots he actually hit.
I think
right
he hit
there,
one and then missed the next 3, unfortunately. I didn't see any hit markers popping up, so a little bit of a misstep there. There's some shots I bet he wishes he could have back, and that is FaZe going to be taking a lead here in the game. You know, to kind of go back to Renegade, he was S1. I was actually pretty concerned that if that flag was going to go in, because it looked like FaZe was blocking the entire map. Right, they had a player S1, a guy on flag. It looked like there were some players over towards Needles even as well. And with a few deaths, although they capped that flag, Native Red answers right back and ties up this game.
Yeah, let's talk about the mistakes that they just made briefly from on the side of FaZe, right? You get overshield, you have both snipes, your flag guys all the way through camo. You don't have to use that overshield to be aggressive and push their training. Instead, a much more efficient use right there would have just been to sit on your side of the base or on your side of the map and wait for the overextenders to try and stop this flag run. Instead, because SnakeBite's aggressive there, he takes all that damage, he loses overshield, and the counter cap becomes much more possible.
All right, still a lot of time left on the clock. Huge double kill by SoulSnipe. Finishing off that kill on a Renegade will open them up for another flag run. Frosty, he's got the heat wave. You can see it in the kill feed. Royal 2 does take out SoulSnipe. I wonder if he was hugging the wall. He may have been able to get a little bit further with that, but nonetheless, Frosty, heat wave, sniper, flying into the enemy team's base. They take everyone down. 4 dead once again, and that flag is going to be moving. What looked like a good opportunity for Native Red to take the lead is now resulting in yet another counter cap in this game.
Yeah, it ends up being an overextension, right? You tried to do too much, tried to get too scrappy, and what do? You pay for it with a potential flag on the move. However, Manny is in the base of FaZe. He's going to get a touch, and you will need to get that return infinite in order to punch that flag in. And right now, Frosty's the last guy alive. SoulSnipe has a full set of rockets to work with right now, already on the return. The other flag's under bridge. Some slays going in their favor, but all of this chaos in the objective department as these two teams seem to be getting the kills they need to clutch up and keep this game tied 2-2.
Not the best rockets I've ever seen.
I've seen better.
Seen better before. I mean, it's pretty interesting. Yeah, I think I've seen worse too. That's true. Could have been a little bit better. Might need to work on those a little bit. Keep in mind, he's not a major pit player from Halo 3.
Yeah, gotta keep that in mind.
At least they're not in the hands of Sentinels now. Or FaZe, I should say.
You could have blown yourself up, which we have seen already on the broadcast, and that's where it's actually the worst rocket, right? At least you didn't do damage to yourself. But this flag on the move, 3 dead. Well, 1 spawns up for Native, but you got to think you can get into the Needler. Just hope to God they don't shoot the grenades. They actually end up taking them down. There was a player in the Needler pit, Taulek, in another position to stop the cap by himself. Makes another play to once again keep this game tied up. Under 5 minutes remaining. You can almost guarantee that the next cap, if it's not followed by a counter cap, is going to be a very difficult recipe for whichever team falls deficit, because of how defensive minded some of these teams may be able to play on a map like Pit once that lead is achieved.
Yeah, you can see all 4 down for Native Red momentarily. Again, they do get eyes on the first spawner. That SoulSnipe who gets taken out immediately. The rest of his teammates coming off spawn towards courtyard. That is not where you want to be in this scenario. Flags being run, but there are a lot of blocked spawns right now and weapons with OS coming up on the map. This is going to be a huge moment.
Look at this. Manny's behind enemy lines once again. We saw this movie once before. SoulSnipe was here to help him out last time with the rockets. Not the case this time around. Manny is going to get the touch on the flag to hopefully buy some time. He ends up going first BR. He's on the return, gets the better of SnakeBite, and that's a big 1v1 win for Manny. Somehow SnakeBite was by himself, but Royal 2 ends up being able to get the touch, hops the return, and now Manny's forced to play the hand. Can't get there. Royal 2 gets the return, the cap, the melee to finish off Manny, and a phenomenal job to take the lead with 3.5 minutes now for FaZe to play defense.
And it's kind of crazy that that is the first lead here that we're seeing after the game's been tied for so long. There's something I want to point out right now, Wes. Frosty is 26-6. He is plus 20 in this game already. The next most positive player in the game is 6. Only
Yeah, I don't know.
6.
I don't know how that went unnoticed this entire time, but Frosty absolutely popping off. We haven't seen too much of his screen this game, but for stats like that, you know he's feeling it. And when Frosty's feeling it, he gives this team so much life. And you best believe he's the sole reason they find themselves up. I believe he's lagging out there.
Oh, no. He was destroying so hard that he
The
literally
game broke.
The game.
Yeah, I've been there before, too.
Wow.
Put together a pretty solid pickup roster. Big shout out to Flamesword, our buddy Mike, and what he's been able to do over there. A great group of players they've been able to find. Not quite sure what the actual roster is going to be headed into Charlotte, but you love to see familiar names popping up and players being given an opportunity to represent a historic org like that as well.
And I got another update. Not 8 minutes. We're actually looking at 4 minutes here. So 4 minutes on the clock.
More
1-0 lead to FaZe.
That makes a little bit more sense. You get a little bit of additional clock, and you get to reset the map. With that reset, it looks like Druk has been able to find rockets. There's going to be SoulSnipe already with the flag on the move. Look at this shield placement, too. Tries to use it, but eventually gets gunned down by Renegade. And so does Manny. A phenomenal push from Renegade to stop that flag that was on the move and keep this game in their favor. They're still going to have that 1-0 or that 1-cap lead. Druk with these rockets overextended, but didn't really put himself in a position where he could help the flag run that was going on. I would have loved to have seen Druk be able to influence that flag run and potentially tie this game up quickly.
Yeah, it looks like Native Red is doing their best to get back into it immediately, but Royal 2 with that Needler, it's just too strong. Grabs himself a kill. That might be enough to stop this from moving across the map.
Taulek choosing to back up. Backs up right into SnakeBite, though, and SnakeBite now with the snipe. Hadn't seen this version of SnakeBite yet on the pit, but I remember some highlight reels coming from the MCC days where the bite was popping off, and we'll see if he's able to hit some shots. He chooses to use the battle rifle as easy shots onto Druk to trade those kills out. A nice body shot onto Manny to force his hand as well, but SnakeBite really doing a ton of work to keep at least the mid space towards bridge contained. And look at this, 3 members on the flag from FaZe. Royal 2 finds a double, and I believe they're going to deny this cap opportunity from Native Red to stop it before it can really get on the move.
Oh, but Druk, he's flown into the base very quickly. Flag does get returned, but they're in position to try to start moving another one. However, SnakeBite, he's too quick, flies into the base, finishes off Druk. Even though he had repulsor, he wasn't able to do much with it here in the base. That flag is going to be reset once again. That's going to be Overshield going over here to Renegade, and that is a dangerous combo. You see Native, they're trying heavily to keep this flag moving, push 2 through long haul, but Royal 2 cleans up those kills. Frosty in the enemy team's base with Sniper as well, starting to move the cap. They don't care that they have a 1-0 lead right now. They are looking to continue this and put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, why not? Why not end the game on your terms instead of like passively playing a situation where you always give the enemy team a chance? Unfortunately for them, that flag does get stopped in the Needler, and Renegade, he's going to passively play this situation now that that flag stopped. He loses a couple of teammates. I like this positioning from him. Top turret with the snipe. It's a classic. Renegade gets a little bit of help from his friends. They slay out. And right now, I love the prioritization on the camo green push this time around from Native, but they just can't seem to get the 1 kill they need to in order to get that flag a little bit further.
Yeah, it looks like they're really feeling the pressure now here. They know time is against them. When a player falls, you see like towards the end of that sequence, they had a lot of players one shot, but SoulSnipe pushing through long haul, there's just too many places to hide. You don't have the nades you can, finish off kills or catch those lines of sight to kill people, and it makes it for a tough situation with the route with the rest of your team.
Druk has gotten behind enemy lines, although he does get taken down in the kill feed there, so I don't believe he's going to be behind anymore.
Now, one pull should send it into overtime, though, so it's not lights out yet because they're only down by 1. And it shouldn't mess up the game, thankfully, as well. If there was, like, for example, FaZe had capped another flag. This is where it gets tricky. You know, knock on wood, eventually we can have a pause feature and just rejoin people back into the game. But for the time being, at least, it looks like FaZe is going to close out this game. Nobody from Native in position to grab that flag. And as soon as it returns, that's going to be GG. That's all she wrote.
Flag return.
FaZe do it. They create the win. In the replay, it's a 3-0 finish for FaZe here in the series. Of dominant series for them. Game 1, what could have been for Native Red, right? If you take a step back, you look at the series as a whole, Native Red came out swinging. 160-point lead in strongholds. Both teams were red. It was chaos. They looked like a much better team. Somewhere, some way in that game 1, FaZe, I'm sorry, turned on the Jets. They never looked back. They were able to, once that massive comeback happened, they were able to ride that momentum into a fairly easy game 2 victory. And then game 3 was theirs as well. So a phenomenal job from FaZe. They make their way to the elimination bracket finals, and they will play French Toast, who lost in the bracket finals earlier. And the winner of that will get an opportunity for a rematch against Optic in the grand finals.
Exactly right there. And now something to point out in that game, it's always a little hard to put 2 and 2 together when there is like a lag out and a replay. I'm not sure. We have a little bit of different information in chat, but Frosty, either 36 or 37 kills and 12 deaths.